Hello everyone, welcome in today. Today we're going to be going through a 2-round mock draft, so it's going to be a longer video. Let's jump right into it. At number 1, the Tennessee Titans are going to go ahead and take Abdul Carter. Then at second pick, it's the Cleveland Browns. They're going to go ahead and take Cam Ward. There really isn't a whole lot of news here with the first 2 picks. I guess I should have said after Carter. His injury at the combine was revealed to be not needing surgery, which is good, and they don't think it's going to affect his draft stock, so there's no point in me dropping him down the board. Now here at pick 2, Cleveland, all the buzz you heard at the combine was Cam Ward or a quarterback was going to go at number 2. So until I hear otherwise or have a reason to believe otherwise, we're going to put Cam Ward here at 2. That leaves the New York Giants here at pick number 3. I don't know that Shadur goes this high, but I know they're desperate for a quarterback. We're going to give him Shadur Sanders for now. That brings up the New England Patriots, and there was a lot of buzz at the combine that they like Travis Hunter. Easy selection. He's here at pick 4. At number 5, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is a pick I do quite a bit, but I'm going to give him Mason Graham. I'm really high on Mason Graham. I think he's a great player, and he'd make a lot of sense to go in there with Jacksonville and just pair up with Mason Smith and have a strong interior for the long haul. At pick 6, this is where it kind of gets interesting. Vegas doesn't have a quarterback, and we'll know more after free agency opens up next week. This is going to be my final mock draft prior to free agency, so we're going to see what ends up happening here in the next week or so, and that'll affect mock drafts going forward. But for now, I'm going to give him Ashton Genty here at pick number 6. At pick 7, the Jets are up. They need a quarterback. They need receiving help. To me, the best receiver in this class is Tyler Warren. And I know he plays tight end, but he's just the best prospect at a receiving position, I guess is the way I should have phrased that. At pick 8, it's the Carolina Panthers. Listen, I'll admit I'm not as high on this guy, but they expect him to go high. I'm going to give him Mykel Williams. I'm not as high on him. I don't know that he's as good as people think he is. I don't see the explosion out of the stance from him. Like, I see the length and all that. That's obvious. But the fact that he didn't test at the combine has me thinking they're saying it's maybe health related. I honestly don't think he has the explosion numbers they think he does. Like, right now, he's a 2nd round grade for me, almost a 3rd round grade. So I don't know. I got to see them numbers, and then as long as they're confirmed, I'll move him up my board with a boom bust label. But until then, he's going to be like close to number 50 on my board. At pick 9, the New Orleans Saints are up. They're going to take another guy from Georgia I'm just not as high on. That's Jalen Walker. I think he's a tweener. I personally don't think he's a top 10 pick in this class. I don't even know that I would take him in the top 15. Maybe after 15, I'd consider it because he is a boom bust player. Like, I do expect this guy to test out of this world. Like, he's a really good prospect. I'm just not as high as what other people or these draft analysts are on him. I have him, I think, number 34 on my big board right now. You know, like I said, I can see once he tests. I always wait, and I know everybody's like, well, testing doesn't do anything. No, but seeing a 40 time and seeing the agility and stuff does make it so that way you at least feel comfortable saying, hey, those traits are there. Another guy like James Pierce is one that, like, I didn't love his jump. And I know he didn't do the 3-cone and such because he doesn't have great agility and bend, and he didn't want to show that off. He did the 40, which is a straight line run that he did really good at. But to me, he didn't change anything about his draft stock at the combine. People are going to say he moved up. I just don't see it. I don't see him as a bendy edge. He's fast and he gets off, but he has a hard time getting around that corner. He runs by a lot of sacks. But either way, let's move on. At number 10, the Chicago Bears are going to go ahead and take Will Campbell. I don't use this one very often. He is listed at tackle. We're going to give him to the Bears. They can play him at tackle. They can play him at guard if they have to. I did this. It's out on the channel as a short per usual prior to the news of the Jonah Jackson trade. So that might change a little bit here for Chicago at 10, but for now it's Will Campbell. At 11, the 49ers are up. We're going to go ahead and give them Armin Membu, and I would not be shocked if he ends up being the first tackle off the board. He is really fun to watch, and he was awesome at the combine. So I could see this dude really having a high ceiling. He may not be a guard, but I think he can be a right tackle, lock down the right side of your offense for the long term. At pick 12, the Dallas Cowboys are up. I wanted to go crazy here for a minute, but then I decided, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's give him a tackle prospect and give him Calvin Banks. I almost put a Marion Hampton here because I'm really high on Hampton, but Calvin Banks makes a lot of sense here. He had a good combine. May not have the arm length that you like per se, but he has the wingspan that you like. That's the biggest issue with Will Campbell for me. It's just his wingspan's far too small. That brings up the Miami Dolphins at pick 13. I went a little different than what I normally do here. And a guy that some people have lower, I'm trying to find it. I don't use this simulator. Oh, it's D-line on here. Okay. I'm going to give him Walter Nolan. There's some, I guess, questionable character stuff with him, not like bad person, but immaturity that they think could move him down the board. I don't know. He's just explosive and he's awesome to watch on tape. So I could see him making it up this high anyway. At pick 14, the Indianapolis Colts are up. I put a lot of thought into this one. I almost went Colston Loveland just to give him a tight end because Colston Loveland's really good. But I decided to go ahead and give him a guy that tested well. Now, he isn't going to have like the craziest RAS score, which is what I swear Chris Ballard uses to draft all of his players. I'm going to give him Jahdae Barron. He had the faster 40 than people expected, and his tape is awesome. He can easily play outside. He can play in the slot if you need him to. I just think he's a really good defender, and the Colts need more corners to really invest in and build this team, because they haven't done it underneath Gus Bradley and it didn't work out. So hopefully Chris Ballard will write that for Lou Anarumo and they can get this going. At pick 15, the Atlanta Falcons are up. They obviously need edge help. The thing is, they basically always ignore it, but we're not going to do that here. I'm going to go ahead and give him Mike Green. I would like to push him up the board higher, but 2 sexual assault allegations that he openly admitted and spoke about, both of them, he was never charged, I guess. So, it's kind of, you don't know what to think there, and it's going to affect his draft stock a little bit. Some teams just won't take that risk. At pick 16, the Arizona Cardinals are up. They're going to go ahead and take one of my favorite players in this draft, and that's Kenneth Grant. He's awesome. He's just so fun to watch, and I think he really has a high upside potential on him. Like, I do think he could get to like a Dexter Lawrence type of player. Sorry if you hear my dogs in the background. I'm trying to get them to stop, but they're not. Let's move on, though. Pick 17, the Cincinnati Bengals are up. They're going to go ahead and take Tyler Booker at guard. He's somebody, he didn't do good at the combine, but you don't really expect him to do well at the combine. It's just not what he's going to be good at. He's not that moving guard. He is the power guy. He's going to be a good pass blocker, and I think that's what Cincinnati needs to invest in. At pick 18, it's Shamar Stewart coming off the board here, and he's going to go to the Seattle Seahawks. I think that with Mike McDonald coming from Baltimore, he could see the value in developing a young edge that maybe is a little raw, and he got a lot of pressures, though. Like, he just didn't finish. So when people are like, well, he doesn't have production, I'm like, no, he didn't have sack production. He had pressures, though, which is still production, in my opinion, and you can finish those at the next level. If he didn't have pressures, then I don't want him, because he wouldn't have had anything going for him. At pick 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are up. They're going to go ahead and take one of the guys that's dropping in this draft, and I don't know that they'll do it because there is an injury designation with him, but we're going to go Will Johnson. I know Jason Light typically doesn't take injured players, but the value is just too high for me at pick 19. I got to get Will Johnson off the board. At pick 20, it's going to be the Denver Broncos. We're going to go wide receiver, and we're going to give him a new wide receiver 1, even though I don't think this is how it'll go. I'm going to give him Matthew Gold. The thing is, with these mock drafts, I try to blend what I would do and what I think could happen. Something after the combine, you're going to do a lot based off of what you're hearing and not how I feel about these guys, which is why I had guys like Mykel Williams and Jalen Walker going in top 10. Never would I consider doing that. You always hear about it, and after the combine, it's the right time to start doing that. So I picked 21. The Pittsburgh Steelers are up. They're going to take just the best receiver left, and it's a guy that shouldn't be here, and that's Tetairoa McMillan. He's much higher on my board. I haven't finished his total eval yet. I've watched tapes and stuff on him, but when I do a final eval, I like to watch like 3 games in a row, back to back to back, put a grade, compare it to what I watched throughout the season. I may rewatch a game or 2 in there as well that I already watched earlier to put a grade on him. But we're going to see back to back to back how I feel about him. And then I'll do my write up on him and we'll have a final grade and see if he drops. But I don't think he's going to drop outside of the top 10 for me. But that'll bring us up to pick 22. It's going to be the Los Angeles Chargers going Omarion Hampton and getting a running back in there. It's hard to project where running backs go in the first round, but I almost feel like we have 2 locks now. I think we have Hampton, and I think we have Genty, who will both go in the first round. We'll have to see, though. At 23, it's Green Bay up. They never go receiver, or else I'd give them receiver. And I know people are like, well, they need a corner. Well, to me, there's no corner that's going to go in this area. Maybe Maxwell Hairston. I do have to update I haven't done his final eval yet because he was just lower for me when I was first doing this. So I just haven't gotten back to him yet. I've done evals on the rest of these guys, but I just can't put him in the first round, even though you're hearing that buzz right now, because my tape grade doesn't say that. So we're going to go ahead and give him edge. And we're going to give him a guy that's rising up boards and is really good, and that's Donovan Ezeraku. I think he's a great player, man. And I think they could use more help across that D-line. It may not be their top need, but it's how they like to draft. At pick 24, the Vikings are going to go to the interior of the offensive line. They're going to take Gray Zabel here and get him in there, plug him into play, guard, center, whatever you need him to do. At pick 25, Houston's up. They need O-line help, no question about that. But I went ahead and just gave him a guy that I'm high on, and that's Emeka Ibuka. He's going to go at 25. He can pair back up with CJ Stroud. I know it's a worn-out storyline, but he's just a good player that matches a need for the Houston Texans. At pick 26, it's the Rams, and this is one, normally I do a tackle here, but they don't need a tackle. They just re-signed their left tackle. They still have some questions at right tackle. We'll have to see how that all works out. Havenstein's getting a little older, but I think they're all right at tackle, so I'm going to change my focus, and I'm just going to give him the best player left on my board, and that's Colston Loveland here at pick 26. May not be the biggest need, but he's the best player available. Why not get him in here? At pick 27, the Baltimore Ravens are up. They're going to take the guy that should not be here, and it's going to be Josh Simmons at pick 27 going to the Ravens. I still think Ronnie Stanley's going to move on, and they can replace him with a guy who should go in top 10, and this is how it goes for the Ravens. They always get a good player to drop to him. I would love my Patriots to take Simmons at 4 if he was healthy, but because he's not healthy, we all know that's not going to happen. But he had some of the best tape this year. I kid you not. I loved watching his tape, and he's going to be high on my board. I already know it. At pick 28, it's the Lions up. I'm going to go back to edge because I think they need help. I'm not as high on James Pierce, but this is the right area for him. You hear character questions with him, and then you also look at it and you go, I just don't see him as bendy and as twitchy as everybody else does. Like, dude's fast. There's no question about that. He has a great first step. He is a straight line fast athlete, but he doesn't bend that edge well. He runs by the quarterback a lot. Quarterback steps up, gets by him. He gets sacks, but I don't know. I think he's maybe going to be in the best situation possible with the Lions because he won't be the top pass rusher on the team. He won't have to be the number one. And I think he could thrive in that role. So we're going to put James Pierce here to the Lions at pick 28. At 29, it's the Washington Commanders. Now, they just ended up fixing some of their receiver issues, maybe with Deebo Samuel. So we're going to go ahead and give them an offensive tackle to help them clear up, and that's going to be Josh Connerly Jr. He's somebody that needs some work, but I think he's a good player. At pick 30, it's the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to give him one of the risers from the combine, somebody I love, and it's Nick Eamon-Wari. He's still not my top safety, but dude is an athletic freak. And you know what? Why not take a chance on him here at pick 30? At pick 31, it's Kansas City. They need O-line help. There's no O-line available, so I got to give him my top available player, and it's going to be Jahad Gamble. That brings up the Philadelphia Eagles here at pick 32. They like to look at the board and say, well, who's available? Who can we take? Well, Malachi Starks, I like him, but I don't think he's the biggest need. Luther Burden, I'm cooling on him. I had him outside of the first round in a mock earlier this year, and I changed the title to say, like, this should not happen because people were freaking out, and I should have stuck to my guns and let it happen. At pick 32, though, I am going to take Derek Harmon. I think he'd be a great interior D lineman. He's not the same body type as Milton Williams, but I do think he can rush the passer and provide that role to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, he led the FBS in pressures last year for interior D line, so I think he can fill that role for the Eagles and step in and be a great player. Now, since this is a 2-round mock, this is where we're going off the chains a little bit. I have not prepared the second round for this mock. I meant to. Things came up. So now we're going to kind of go off the cuff here. At pick 33, it is the Cleveland Browns. In the first round, they took Cam Ward. Well, what would you like to see them do in the second round? Maybe support him with a receiver. Luther Burden would be a good get. Maybe you could support him with interior offensive line. That could make some sense. I still think they need edge help. And to me, with Nick Scorton being here, I'm going to give him Nick Scorton. That brings up the New York Giants at pick 34. We went Shedeur Sanders in the first round. This team's a mess, in my opinion. They have a good receiver, but they need help on defense. And I'm really high on Siobhan Ravel, and I know he tore his ACL, but I think I'm going to do Ravel here to the New York Giants. I just love him. I think he's a first-round lock if he doesn't get hurt. At pick 35, that brings up Tennessee Titans. They get Abdul Carter in the first round. They need to figure out some things here in the second round. I don't think they're going to go quarterback. I don't have Jackson Dart listed as an option for them here. I just don't think it makes the most sense. I do think you could consider wide receiver because Luther Burden is here and available, but I do think they need edge really bad. And when I look at edges, I'm high on Princely Umanmielen. I have him as a top 15 player in this draft. I'm going to get him off the board here at pick 35 to the Tennessee Titans. At pick 36, the Jacksonville Jaguars got Mason Graham in the first round. They need a corner. I'm going to go ahead and give him a guy that, once again, I'm lower on, but I hear the league's pretty high on, and that's Maxwell Hairston to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. At pick 37, the Las Vegas Raiders are up. They took Ashton Genty. They need a quarterback, and I almost want to give him Jackson Dart, but I have a feeling maybe they could go get a veteran to come in there to hold down the fort for a year, get a guy a little bit lower in this class. I'm going to go ahead, go back to the all board, and just give him the guy that I think is going to add the most value, and that's Luther Burden here at pick 37 to the Las Vegas Raiders. That brings up New England Patriots at pick 38. Getting Travis Hunter in the first round, great. Offensive tackle, it's a big need. We're going to take a swing and put Ariante Ursary here. I haven't finished his full eval, but I'm still higher on him than I think a lot of people are. And he had a good combine, so you know what? Let's get him here. At pick 39, the Chicago Bears are up. They got Will Campbell. They got, luckily, a good amount of picks coming up. I think that for the Bears, they got some help here on the interior, so I don't need to fill that. I think edge would be a great pickup for them, but I'm going to go ahead and give them a playmaker here. And I think I'm going to go with a guy. I don't think Caleb Johnson fits here. I'm going to go Travion Henderson. I think he's my RB3, so it makes sense that he goes here, but I just think he's a really good player. I think he'd give him a playmaker. Swift probably won't be there next year. It already didn't work out with Ben Johnson once, so get Henderson in there and let him go. At pick 40, the New Orleans Saints are up. I know safety isn't their biggest need, but I'm not going to lie to you. I just think this team sucks and needs a lot of talent, and Malachi Stark shouldn't be here at pick 40, so he's going to go to the Saints. At pick 41, the Chicago Bears, they're right back up on the board. They do need edge help. I have JT Tuimoloau rated in this area. Landon Jackson, he had a really good combine. I got to rewatch some of his film because I have like a top of the third round grade on him, but boy, that athleticism, I don't recall seeing that when I was watching him, so I got to check him back out. I'm not going to mock him here. I think that you could look at maybe D-line or edge is probably the top two needs for this team. So this is tough. I'm going to go JT Tuimoloau out here to the Bears. I think he could pair up with Montez Sweat pretty well. They like bigger edges anyway, and I think he fills that, especially with Dennis Allen becoming the DC. So I think he could fill that role really well for the Bears. At pick 42, the New York Jets are up, and that's where Jackson Dart's coming off the board. They need a quarterback bad, and I think he'd be a great pickup. I think he's somebody that could develop. I'm not sure if he'll be QB3 or 4 for me. I'm purposely waiting to finish my QB tape because I really like to hear how they are as people and also how they do on the board and stuff, because that's a big part of being a quarterback. So I try to wait to do my final evals on quarterbacks for that reason. I have right now my QB1 is Cam, 2 Shador, 3 is Jackson Dart, 4 is Tyler Shuck, and then 5, I probably still have Jalen Milroe just because I think he has so much upside. But that's my current top 5 quarterbacks. We could see that could change as I finish my tape grades up. But either way, let's move on. The San Francisco 49ers are up here at pick 43. They went Armin Membu in the first round. Well, here in the second round, I think they need edge help. I think they need corner help, and we're going to get him Azariah Thomas. Great pick, great press man corner. I think he'd have an excellent impact on this team. He could come in, help replace Travarius Ward because he's probably going to leave in free agency. So great pickup by the Niners here in round 2. Dallas is up. They need a running back. We're going to go back to the running back room here. I'm going to give him Quinshawn Judkins here at pick 44. I think it'd be a great pickup. They can get value in the second round and improve their team in the first round. At pick 45, Indianapolis is up. They got Jahdae Barron in the first round. They like Raz score guys, man. They're really high on guys that are super athletically gifted. And when you look, there's a guy like Darius Alexander here. Probably not their biggest need, though. So we're going to keep looking. How about Landon Jackson at edge? Maybe not their biggest need. The problem is, I just don't see somebody that I want to give them in this area that tested super well. I would like to do a trade, but I'm not going to. At this moment, I'm going to give him Mason Taylor, a guy I'm higher on than this draft board is. So at pick 46, the Atlanta Falcons are up. They got Mike Green in the first round. We're going to go back to the cornerback class, and we're going to give him Trey Amos. I'm higher on Amos than a lot of people. I think he'd be a great pickup. Honestly, I could see him going earlier than this, in my opinion, but for now, he's going to go at pick 46. At 47, the Arizona Cardinals are up. They got Kenneth Grant in the first round. In the second round, I don't think edge is as big of a need as they have it listed. They do have Ojulari coming back next year. We're going to go to the playmakers. We're going to go to wide receiver, and we're going to take Jaden Higgins, and he's going to go to the Arizona Cardinals. I think Higgins is a great player, and he might even be able to go earlier than this. At pick 48, the Miami Dolphins are up. What do the Dolphins need? Well, they could use offensive tackle. Cam Williams, I'm just not sure where he's going to go. I could see him as a third-round prospect, to be honest with you. I just don't know that you want to take him here. You go to safety. Maybe Xavier Watts. I'm not as high on him. I think I have him lower on my big board. Oh, Donovan Jackson. How did I miss that? We're going to go Donovan Jackson to the Dolphins. That makes total sense. I forgot he was still on the board. He should have been long gone by now. That's why I need to make sure I'm going back to all. We're going to get Donovan Jackson off the board here. He's going to become a Miami Dolphin. They're going to be happy they have him. And he moves pretty well, and he's tough as heck. So I think he'd be a good get for the Dolphins. He'd fit scheme-wise, being able to move. And he'd add a toughness they don't currently have. At pick 49, the Cincinnati Bengals are up. They got Tyler Booker in the first round. I think they could use tight end help. I think it's a little early for Arroyo right now, in my opinion. He's still kind of raw. So we're going to pass on tight end. We're going to go back to the D-line group, and we're going to give them Darius Alexander. Even though I think they need a little bit of a bigger guy, we're going to give him some juice up the middle. He's an older prospect, which is why he's lower in the draft for me. He is fantastic, though, so I could see him rising. At pick 50, the Seattle Seahawks are on the board. They got Shamar Stewart in the first round. I don't think they're going to go tackle. I don't think they're going to go interior in this area. Is there a linebacker I like in this spot? I'll be honest with you. I love Carson Schlesinger. So he's going to come off the board here to the Seattle Seahawks at pick 50. At pick 51, Denver's up. They got Matthew Golden in the first round. I think they could look to improve their running back room here. And this is a tough one here for me. I like Caleb Johnson. Just not sure how good of a fit he's going to be in that offense. I think he's a little bit more of like a Shanahan style offense player, in my opinion. I don't know that he fits them here. I have Cam Scadaboo rated this high, but I don't think they'll take him. They already have Audric Estime. So let's go ahead and look around. Maybe we go back to the D line. I think I'm going to knock off Tyleik Williams here. Even though I'm a little bit lower on him, we're going to give him Tyleik Williams to help their D line and their run D because they struggled in that category. So at pick 52, the Pittsburgh Steelers are up. They got Tet McMillan in the first round. They're going to take a chance here and take Benjamin Morrison and get him off the board. I'm really high on Morrison. His hip, man, he's already, I guess, reportedly had the injury in high school as well. So now you got to worry about how's he going to hold up. I think the end of the second round, great value. Bring him in. You could get a potential top 10 player in this class for great value. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers come up at pick 53. They took Will Johnson in the first round. I think they need an edge rusher bad. And I think here I'm going to go a guy that showed something off at the combine that we didn't expect. And I'm going to give him Landon Jackson here at pick 53. Now, as you know, I'm a Patriots and a Bucs fan. Mostly a Patriots fan, but I'm a Bucs ticket holder, so got to love the Bucs too. I think Landon Jackson could be a good player for them. Like I said, got to revisit his tape because I didn't see that explosiveness, but it's obviously in there. So we got to check that one out. At pick 54, Green Bay's up. They got Donovan Ezeraku. I think they're going to go receiver here. They almost have to. And for me, I'm high on Alec Manor, so we're going to give him Manor here at pick 54. At pick 55, the Chargers are up. They got a Marion Hampton in the first round. They still need edge help. I almost have a third round grade on Jack Sawyer with those short arms. He's a good prospect. And I'm tempted to give him just a good football player here. And that's what I'm going to do and go Jack Sawyer and get him off the board. At pick 56, Buffalo's up. They went Nick Emanwari in the first round. They need D-line help. I'm going to give them Alfred Collins here at pick 56. At pick 57, the Carolina Panthers are up. They got Mykel Williams in the first round. I really do think they need receiver help. And I think it makes the most sense to try to help out here. But I'm not as high on Trey Harris right now. I could see him going in this range, but I'm just not sure. TJ Sanders has a third round grade for me. Boy, this is actually going to be a tough pick. I'm going to go safety, and I'm going to give him Xavier Watts here. At pick 58, the Houston Texans are up. They went Emeka Egbuka in the first round. They need interior O-line help. We're going to take Jonas Savaiinaea off of the board here. He can play guard for them. I think he could potentially play tackle with his length, but stick him in at guard and he'd be really good. The Ravens are up. They got Josh Simmons. Edge is their next need, in my opinion, but I don't have anybody I would take here. Maybe Josiah Stewart. I have to watch more of his tape, though. He's higher on some people's boards. And Bo could be good, but they already spent on the O-line. Safety, I don't have anybody else I would take in this range, although Billy Bowman's really impressed. I mean, his whole process has been way better than I could have ever expected it to be. I think we're going to go just to the all board and get the Ravens a good football player that can come in and impact this team. And it's going to be Trey Harris. I know receiver's not their biggest need, but they can get depth on this team and have more options for Lamar, especially because you have Bateman and Zay Flowers. But I think beyond that, you can add another weapon on this offense and just make it even more deadly to try to keep up with these top teams in the AFC. And it's honestly just the best value for me at this slot. At pick 60, the Detroit Lions are up. They went James Pierce in the first round. They love good football players. That's how they do their whole draft process, and I don't blame them for it. I think we're going to go a player that I think had a lot more hype earlier on, and I'm just not as high on him. We're going to give him TJ Sanders here at pick 60, and that'll really help their D-line be fortified and just bring in reinforcements. I almost went to corner, but I'm not as high on Darian Porter. His age really worries me, and he has great athleticism. We all knew that, but why couldn't he get on the field until his sixth season? And even then, he wasn't a full-time player. I think he only played 600 or 400 snaps, something like that. Either way, the Commanders are up. They addressed their offensive tackle need. Now we're going to go to the edge group, take a look. Maybe in this range you could take a chance on a Braden Swinson, but I think he could drop a little bit. Wide receiver, I like Jack Besh. We're going to give him Jack Besh. I know it's not their biggest need because they got Debo, but I think if you get a third person in there with Jaden Daniels, it could really help this team. So we're going to give them a receiver, even though they just invested in Debo. I think that you continue to build this roster out and you support him the best you can. And I think that just making sure there's like a no lose scenario at receiver is a good thing. People probably won't like this pick, but I'm going to go ahead and put Besh here to Washington. Buffalo's up next. They went Eamon Worry. They went Alfred Collins. I think they're going to take a chance here, and we're going to give him Darian Porter to come in. He's somebody that just has so much potential. There's questions you got to work through. We're going to get him in the second round here to the Bills and see what happens. Kansas City's up. They went linebacker in the first round. They need help across their O-line. There's no question about that after what happened to them in the Super Bowl. I think you could go ahead and take a shot on a guy like a Cam Williams here who just has everything you're looking for, but he's just not great. And I think that's what the Chiefs are going to do and hope that they can develop him. At pick 64, the Eagles are up. They got Derek Harmon. I mean, I don't know what else this team needs. You go to the edge class, maybe Josiah Stewart or Swinson, but I'm actually going to go down the board and I'm going to give him a guy that's been rising, and we're going to give him Oladejo to come in, add some depth on this team, and that is going to be our mock draft today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. It's definitely different from how I normally do it. Going into the second round was interesting, and not planning out the second round was also quite interesting for me because I'm kind of going off the cuff. And like I said, Washington, you can argue that pick wasn't the best one. I understand if you're not happy with it as a Commanders fan, but I still feel like there might have been somebody I was forgetting. I didn't load up Our Lads like I normally do when I do these mock drafts, so that way I can look off the top of my head. Oh, they probably wouldn't go him here. Actually, now that I think about it, they got McCaffrey. I forgot about him. I should have loaded up Our Lads before I made that selection. This pick's probably bad, and you guys can roast me in the comments below for it. But I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one. I'm out.